Hello everybody, Gisele Grenier here. So it's been quite a few weeks since I've done a video and we're getting into the summer season. Now this video can be used, any time of the year, but I thought I would do something for if you're learning, getting into art, you're self-conscious, you're not quite sure what you're doing, you've got some free time over the summer. The goal of this project is for you to get a portrait, a portrait down on paper with minimal supplies. And don't worry, this portrait can be done in half an hour. So I'm going to go over some supplies, and if you hear some banging over here, that's Chaos deciding she wants to play with the birds outside. So you don't have to use this stuff, but basically the easiest thing is to get something down on paper is a background. Now, if you've got supplies, that's great just to give you some jump off points. You can use a stencil. You can use a scrapbook paper. You can even use dictionary paper, whatever you want. What I'm going to do is I'm going to collage this side in case you're not sure how to do it. I'm going to show you how to collage this side, but I'm going to just paint the background on this side. Now for supplies, just going to bring some out here. Again, you're not going to need to use all of these. Just giving you some whoopsie options. I changed my filming setup so it's a little smaller. All right. To collage, we can use a decoupage medium. This is the product from Deco Art. It's a matte finish, and I like using the matte because it's not shiny, so it's easier on camera. But I just like that it's just basic, a basic finish. You can also use Deco Art medium matte medium, so you can use either one. And Chaos is chewing my plastic wrap off my die cuts. Bad cat. Gesso. You really should have some gesso as a staple supply. What it does is it primes your surface, regardless whether it's paper, metal, whatever. It primes it to receive paint. So, but if you don't have gesso, just white paint, white acrylic paint will be fine. Let's see. We're going to be working in Picasso's blue period. So we're going to be using ultramarine blue, titanium white, and raw umber. I may change this up. I'm not sure. I wanted a neutral brown because what we're going to do is we're going to work with blue, black, and white, but we're not going to use black paint. We're going to make our own black paint using these two colors. And these are all part of my core palette. And I've got videos to show you how to choose your colors for that. And to finish it off, some ultra matte varnish to seal it, especially if you're working in a journal. If you use anything glossy for a glossy varnish, your pages are going to stick together. All right, brushes, just basic, a flat brush, a large flat brush, a small flat brush, and a little round brush. Again, it's pretty basic. Water container and palette paper and a spray bottle of water so your paint doesn't dry out. All right, let me first show you. Okay, so I'm working in my Faces journal, and see there the self-portrait of me there. Working in my Faces journal, and this particular portrait I did of Frida Kahlo. I wrapped the paper around, and I've got this. And what we can do is, so we don't waste this page, we can just glue something down here on paper. I mean, you can glue just whatever scraps, tear the pages, and do whatever you want. Because what we're going to do is, if you are going to work with paper, we're going to use a lot of gesso to set the color back, just to show a little bit of texture. Because you don't want the background to have the most focus. The focus is the portrait. So I'm just going to tear that, and we can do, let's see, we can do something like this. And we can, I'm going to use the stencil too. Now the stencil doesn't matter, just to show you both. Now this one is just it's the Deco Art Americana Decor, is Distress Harlequin. Just something with a geometric pattern. That's all you need. Okay, that's all you need. So you just want to get something down on paper. So let me take a second to put my paints out, and then we'll get started. Again, this project, other than the drying time, you can do this in under 30 minutes. All right, you know what else I thought of? You can also use paper towel to create your texture. Now, this is the Viva paper towel, and I'm going to put the stencil down and use this to apply the paint. All right, so if you have a stencil, just take whatever stencil you have, just place it on there, no big deal. And I can use a paper towel, and I'm just going to go into, take a little bit of blue, a little bit of brown. This piece primarily has to be in the blues. So all we're doing is creating something in the background just to get something on there. You don't have to match the colors exactly. Remember, the background isn't the primary focus of the piece. The primary focus of the piece is the portrait. And if you don't have a stencil, then you can just fast forward this until to the next section where we actually do the painting. But this is just if you have a lot of trouble seeing past the blank page. And trust me, you are not alone. There's a lot of people who have trouble getting past the blank page. See, just something down. And then to clean that, I'm just going to take a baby wipe. And I am notorious for not cleaning my stencils. I'm just going to put my stencil right here on the other side of the page. And I'm just going to gently wipe it down. And as the paint is leaving the stencil, it's being transferred over to the white of the paper. So I've cleaned my stencil and created a background at the same time. Okay, that's that. Put that aside. Chaos is being a sucky right now. She's giving me the evil look. Because we did this with a paper towel and we didn't add any water, this will dry relatively quickly, but if it's really wet, you really need to let it dry before you start collaging. So you've got something down there. Now we need to break up this line. We can do something like that. And we can even do, you know, something like this. You can even do something like that. It doesn't really matter. It's just a background. Okay, so actually let's do that because we're going to be setting a lot of it back. I'll use the DecoArt matte medium for this. Whoops. And this happens when you don't close your lids properly. So all we're going to do is take a dry brush, pick up a little bit of medium, and I'm just going to put that on here. And you can put it over the entire page. That's fine. All it's going to do is create another layer. Okay, and then just put your paper down. I don't remember how I did it now. Oops. Well, first of all, the text is upside down, but that's fine. So I'm just going to put that down. No biggie. And then just put another layer on top. Okay. And then we'll just put this one here. I'm going to need to tear a little bit there. Oh, I'm going to put the hard edge right there. I just realized I didn't go down far enough. That's okay. What else can we do? Put that over here. Okay, so you get the idea now how to collage. You're just basically just going back old school and you're just gluing paper down. That's all. And I'm going to use all this up because I don't want to get stuck with it. Let's break that up. I'm trying to allow some of the other edges to show through. And this is an itty bitty piece, so let's put that right there. All right, that's it. That's all there is to collage. Just making sure that you let it completely dry before you start painting. Otherwise, the top layer of the paint will dry and everything underneath will still be wet. Okay, that's that. So that's all there is to collage. And then when that's dry, when you get to the point about starting to set the background back, I'll show you that demonstration on this side. So on this side now, we cleaned the stencil on here. We can leave that the way it is, but I want to apply a little bit of gesso on there because this is actually just raw paper. So what's going to happen is with the raw paper, because I'm using the fluid acrylics, that's going to sink inside the paper. The paper is going to expand and take a lot longer to dry. Using gesso prepares your surface so it creates a bit of a barrier layer so the paint sits on top of the gesso, not inside, and the gesso is thick enough that it's not going to expand all the paper fibers. Nice and thick. And I've got a video on the way that I prepare my gesso. If I was starting from scratch, I would buy 3 bottles of this. One I make thin, one I leave it as it is, and one I thicken up. But I've got videos on that as well. Okay, I need to, what do I need? Oh, I was supposed to, I have to clean my brush. I'm going to use something. I'm trying to get this done within half an hour for you guys. You can use a brush and you can come in and just take the gesso and just put it on. See how it's really setting that back? We want to make the background quite light because when we apply a wash of blue on top, we want just these little pieces just to show up very, very gently. Because blue, because all these paints are really more semi-transparent, especially with the blue, these are going to show through the face. Now, that doesn't really matter. That's fine. But if you're a beginner to portraits, it's hard enough getting something down on paper, let alone it being a portrait, and then the inner critic usually comes in and yammers and says, oh, you've got stuff showing through the face. That's not right. Well, we gotta get something down on paper. Okay, so that's half with the brush. You can do, again, the same thing with a paper towel, or even, I showed you the paper towel before, a kitchen wipe. So just take a little bit of paint or a little bit of gesso and just rub that down. Oh, and what I didn't tell you is when you're using the decoupage medium, matte medium, make sure you wash your hands after. It's not toxic, but that stuff sticks like a son of a gun, and it's really hard to get off. So you see what my finger and I'm doing? I'm rubbing that gesso into the paper, not super hard, not a lot of pressure. Or you can just do it like this. Doing it this way, it's the kitchen wipe it gets a little bit sloppy, but that's up to you. That's up to you. All right. So see how pretty that is? And then this, just put it in water and then rinse it out. When you're rinsing your, there's so much stuff I want to cover off. When you're rinsing your kitchen wipes like that, to reuse, if you're going to put them in the washing machine, first of all, I take no liability if you damage your washing machine. I like just to rinse them out in the laundry tub and then run water. Do not use fabric softener with them. Don't use fabric softener because you're going to be transferring the fabric softener back onto your artwork. All right. So that's that. So that's not even close to being dry yet. That's going to take a bit. What I may do is a separate video on this, just to keep this video under half an hour. We're going to have to dry this because if we were to add our wash of blue paint onto this, this is still wet. That's going to now turn into a creamy blue, which we don't want. We want a pure transparent layer of blue on here. All right, well, that's finishing off the drying. I'm going to take, I used a heat gun on this, and I'm just going to quickly put that on there just to set it back. And you want about the same value as that. And the value is just the lightness or darkness of a color. Really, really rough. You can see how quick I'm being with this, not just because I want to try to speed this up. I hate rushing through a technique video, especially for beginners, because I don't want you to miss anything. And unfortunately, then I get more intermediate people saying that I talk too much and that they're kind of missing the boat. That this is for beginners. So if I talk too fast, I'm really sorry. It's just a habit. So see how it sets that back? Oops, off camera. It's still a little bit busy. Now, once it dries, you're going to see it's going to turn matte, and you're going to see more of the effect. But you don't need to cover everything up. So knowing where the face is going to be, the face is going to take up about 3/4 of the piece, and this one here I'm going to be facing it this way, and then I'm going to do another project with the similar face, making it front facing, which I'm going to do on this. So kind of killing two birds with one stone. I like that. Now the gesso also creates a bit of a barrier as well to help stuff stick. This isn't quite down enough. And with the background, don't skimp on this. It looks like I'm going fast, but I've been doing this for a long time. Don't skimp on the background, because the last thing you want is for your painting to be done and then everything starts to peel off. Now see here, I put a little bit too much paint. Baby wipe will be your best friend in the studio. While it's wet, just push. If you swipe it like this, you may get some streaks depending on what's underneath, but just push. Oh, it looks like a little paw print. And then that helps remove some of the paint. And then you can also use your baby wipe then to put more paint down. Okay, so see, there's all these different things that you can do. Let me just make sure your paper though is dry. All right, so that's that. So now I can go back to this way. Go back to this way. Go back to this way. I'm going to apply a wash of ultramarine blue. And again, missed my brush, so I'm going to get a big fat round brush. Use whatever brush you have. So I'm going to take a little bit of blue, and I'm going to add a little bit of water. And just going to put that down. Now I'm going to take a little bit of water in a mister bottle. Oh no, it's clogged up. Shoot. Okay, so let's just block that up. Oh God. It's clogged up. Son of a gun. I shouldn't complain. I've had this mister bottle for ever. Oh, I'll have to get another one. Oh. Okay, well, I'm not going to cut this out of the video because you'll see how I fix this. Well, there is no way to fix it. You guys got to get another bottle or soak this under hot water. Yeah. Okay. So what do? We're going to take a clean brush and we're going to dampen the paper. Everything. We're going to dampen everything. Not sopping wet, we're going to dampen everything. I think my head just hit the camera. Then we're going to take our big brush with more water. And we're just going to put that down. All we want to do is just stain the paper, and you have to work fast. You have to work fast. So remember, if we're doing something with Picasso in the blue period, you can't use anything other than blue, black, and white. See how that just sets it back? And then you can, from here, you could let it dry a little bit more or just continue on. And I'm just going to grunge those edges up. Just add a little bit of interest. Not too much. Clean that brush. All right. There we go. That's it. Now, the moment of truth. This is where we're going to do our portrait. But the way that we're going to do our portrait, I've got such a fun way of doing it. And this is something that can be done if you've got kids in the neighborhood or if you've got kids or grandkids. This is a lot of fun. What we're going to do is you can stand in front of a mirror and use your take a selfie of yourself in the mirror, or even just if you have a phone that kind of flips around, take a side view of your face. And I'm going to do this with pencil first. So let me just dry this for a sec. And I hope that this pencil, oh yeah, that's dark enough. So just think of a side view, and I'm going to face it in this way because I'm going to do another video on this one facing this way. So just, and holding the pencil back and just, I'm not doing anything because let's figure an ear. Let's go down, chin. Let's get a nose in there. right up to there. For those of you that know me, you know that this is so out of my comfort zone doing a portrait because my portraits are more, more realistic. All right, so we have something like that. And then for an eye, let's just do a diamond shape for an eye. And let's use, I can use this, but let's just, like that. Then a circle, and then black. Okay, remember Picasso, it's abstract. You know what would be a challenge for this? Do this with your non-dominant hand. That would be the challenge, especially for the shape of the head. For the nose, I'm just going to make it front facing this way. And let's make a big nostril. And let's make it curve. The lips are always creeps me out when doing something Picasso-wise. They always freak me out. And then just... There we go. That's your abstract self-portrait, or not self-portrait. Well, you can if you want, but this is your abstract thing. And if you want to add hair, you can. I'm going to leave my guy bald. So that's what you're going to do. Again, do not make it perfectionism. Don't measure, the fifth, your grids or whatever way that I've taught portraits before. This is abstract. So it's not supposed to look realistic, but it has to be all in blues. If you don't want your pencil lines showing, you can use a white charcoal pencil, or, or a white pastel pencil or a black charcoal pencil, and just really lighten it up. I don't care if my pencil lines show through. And then all we're going to do is fill it in. That's all we're going to do. But you're going to do each element in different colors. So there has to be blue in every single piece. So why don't we start off with blue with a little bit of raw umber, and let's paint his shirt. Let's get that in there. And when you're doing this, if you're using fluid acrylics, you're going to notice that whatever's underneath will likely show through. You can leave that as is. I always like to use my paper towels with an opportunity to create texture. And then I'm going to take some white on my dirty brush. And I'm just going to paint his skin tone. So you can see how this would be a really nice project for kids. This is also a first layer, so you can always apply a second layer of paint if you want. Dirty brush, more white. And just paint the rest of this. And you know what? You don't even have to be so careful around the pencil lines because it's abstract. Do you want some of the background showing through? That's completely up to you. You can have it showing through if you want, completely up to you. And we'll just the nose. The fluid acrylics are a nice paint to use, especially for beginners, because you can paint right over your lines and they still remain a bit visible. You can see I'm not worried about it being completely covered. Again, it's an abstract. So raise your hands. How many of you are just so uncomfortable doing this because it doesn't look perfect? Come on, raise your hands. I can see you. No, I can't. That's just sounds like bad big brother. There we go. Okay. I might be covering the camera here, so. All right, and I'm going to go to a smaller brush. I'm going to do the whole thing wet on wet. Yeah, I'm going to, that might be still a little bit big. let me try with this liner brush. I'm going to take the whites and just go into a little bit of the blue. There has to be blue in everything. So this is the white of the eyes. A little bit more blue than that. This is also where you're going to get to practice with your values, the lightness and darkness of color. And values are really important. We have to be able to distinguish the different types of lightness and darkness of blues within this. So the face is going to have one blue, the white of the eye is another blue, the iris and pupil will be another sets of blue, the nostrils will be like the blue black, the pupil and the nose holes will be the same blue. You can see here that it's really hard to tell where the break is in color. And that's because the background color is too light. So that's fine. I can fix that. That's no big deal. Anything else with the light? No. So now let's go back into the blue. Right on the dirty brush. Go in here. And let's give him blue eyes. Do not take a cutout or a stencil or a stamp to do the circle. Do it freestyle. If it's not perfect, then you've done it right. Okay. Same brush, go into brown. Bring in a little bit of that blue. And then just color that in. I just made a little line because I still have to put a little bit more facial color in there. There you go. Got the base there. Where's my brush? I'm going to take my round brush and I'm just going to take some white right here with a little bit of blue. No, it's still too light. There we go. That's better. Let's just show you that I'm going to fit that in. Oh, I need water there. So I'm just deepening up his skin tone. So now you can see that his eye really sticks out. In his ear. The mouth I can freestyle. Easy peasy. So you can still see the difference in colors. The values. There we go. I'm trying not to cover the view here. And we have the nose. There we go. I'm just going to clean up that eye a bit. Okay. That has to dry. While that dries, I want to add a little bit more paint down here. Going to take some raw umber with the blue on a wet brush. And now as I do this, you're going to get all these different patterns showing through because what the color I'm putting on there is transparent. Now, if you're doing this with some kids, keeping in mind that coloring outside the lines is fine for this project. Okay, so don't be too worried about perfection. Now, while I have this color, I'm going to take a bit more brown, a little bit more raw umber. Get that in there. Go back in, put another layer on the pupil. Yeah, doing this with a non-dominant hand would have been a lot of fun. Make that really rough. Now, if you bring the eyebrow down more, he's going to look mean. So keep that in mind when you're doing that. Okay. And let's take that same little brush. Let's get the white in there. We'll let the white dry, and then we'll come in. Oops! I forgot to add blue. There we go. We'll let that dry, then we'll come in and finish the iris, and then he'll be done. Other than varnishing, he'll be all finished. You can take a little bit of that same blue to tie in the colors. And no, we need to make that really light. Almost white. No, let's go really dark on the blues. Oh, ouch. Sorry, I hit the camera. I got so excited. I got really excited. And if you don't like it that dark, then you can always lighten it. Leave a little bit of a line there. I hate working with these liner brushes, I swear. Oh, they're so uncomfortable. I'm gonna make a little lump there. Ew, that's creepy. Oh my goodness. So I was trying to really just match the eye color. I can add another layer in there. And adding another layer is only necessary if your paint is thin. You don't have like an even coating of color. There we go. You know what? Let's give him a little piece of hair. Let's give him a... There we go. There's your portrait. Done. Done. Now so remember, it has to be abstract. And while I'm talking, I'm going to apply another layer of color here. When you're doing your piece, keep in mind, that you can further build on top of it. So if you wanted to, let's say, do further mixed media on top, don't varnish it. Well, you can varnish it if you use a matte varnish, because that stuff will stick onto that. You'd be better off just using matte medium as your finishing layer, which will leave room for you to build on top of that. Okay, now can further push on this. So what you can do here as well is, I'm looking at this and I'm inspired by, there's these neck not braces, but these necklaces that are used to basically stretch the neck. And you can use a blue metallic here to do that, to add further interest. You could add a blue button for an earring. You could cut blue fabric for the top here. You could use a blue metallic paint for the lips. So you can see all these different, you can use a blue black pearl for the pupil. So there's all these different things that you can do with this. And then just quickly just show you with the matte medium, if you wanted to cover that, just a nice thin layer. I'm not going to put it over everything because it's not dry, but you're going to put a light layer on that. But anything that you've painted that has a gloss finish will take on a matte finish. So remember that. And that's it. So create your piece, on the one side of your journal. And then next time we come back, we're going to basically flip this over which is going to, you're going to have a right brain moment. The brain tends to look for perfection. So when we're taking something, mirroring it on the other side and just trying to copy, your brain goes into a flutter, and it's supposed to. So we're going to be doing a flip, and then we're going to add to the portrait to make it front. So we're going to turn this into a front-facing portrait. Not by altering this, by just adding something to it. So join me next time for that project. So I look forward to seeing your pieces. Post them below. Post pictures below. I look forward to seeing them. And if you're watching this on YouTube, click the link for the community, post it there, or click onto my Facebook page, and you can post your pictures there. Alrighty? So have fun. Look forward to seeing your piece. And until I see you next time, stay inspired.